Hey you guys, so today I thought we could take a little trip down memory lane. You know what I'm saying? I was on Instagram the other day, a rare occasion, and I was just reminiscing about what the industry used to look like and just kind of like reflecting on that in comparison to what it looks like now. And so I wanted to pull up like all the things that were super popular at the time that I started Instagram, which was 1978. So let's do that. Okay, I'll zoom you guys in. Okay, I'm gonna just put a little bit of concealer down on my eyeballs. The first product is underneath a pile of other products. The first product is one that's like special to me specifically. I don't really remember if this was like super popular. I think like it was popular-ish. This one was like special to me because it was one of the first YouTube tutorials that I ever did was using this palette, and that's the Too Faced chocolate bar. So this is the original one. They've come out with like 3 now, I think. I think it was also the first palette that actually smelled like chocolate, which was just simply divine. I just really love it a lot. And I mean, like, medical disclaimer, probably don't do this, but they do taste as good as they smell. So that was just a science thing that I had to figure out for my own self. Anyways, it smells so fucking good. It makes my actual mouth water. This was a palette that I really liked. I used the shit out of it, and then it one day broke and shattered, and then I repurchased it in their new slim packaging. So it looks all fresh and oh god. So it looks all fresh and brand new. So that's gonna be what I'm using today. Just some neutral shit, you know what I'm saying? What am I gonna do though? Because really it's gonna be about that nightmare product that I'm gonna use after this. Okay, well, I'm gonna start with this color right here. Boop. I don't have anywhere to put this because my desk is actually a goddamn mess. Some logistics to figure out. Okay, I was thinking about this the other day too. There was this brand, Instagrammers today you couldn't understand. There was this brand called Motives back in the day, and they were like, God, I feel like they were like an MLM, but I could be wrong. They were just so intense, and like literally like you're in like what Morphe is now. I mean, is it even close to what Motives was really? It was kind of like what Morphe is like today, but your entire feed would be people posting about Motives, because I think that like they were 100% an MLM. There's no way they weren't. They would have like huge like meetings with people where like everyone would come, and it would be like this grand show and stuff like that, and they would fly people out to places, and like it was really the like it was the blueprint for what brand trips would become. But people were either getting paid a lot or getting really, really good perks, because people posted about Motives non-fucking stop. It was ridiculous. And I'm pretty sure they used the hashtag, was it like Motives Mavens or Motive Mavens? Oh, I can't remember. It was so bizarre. It was like such a thing. And everyone wanted to be on their PR list because that's like all anyone was posting about. And then Anastasia stepped in, and that really changed the course of everything for Instagram. Anastasia was like a whole other fucking situation. Like when I started, the first time that she reposted me, I remember what it was. It was like this like neutral kind of like smoky V thing, and then I had like a glittery gold liner. But when she reposted me the first time, she had 500,000 followers, and that was like at the time unattainable. Like that was fucking crazy talk. And she just blew up, man. Like everybody was like fuck Motives. Motives who? Everyone was like dying to be on Anastasia's PR list. And then she started doing her like Halloween parties. And the first year that I saw rather, it was so like an office party with the lights on. Like it did not look that enticing at all, but like everyone wanted to go so bad. And then the next year was like a little bit bigger, and the next year was a little bit bigger, and then the year after that it was like a fucking carnival with like the whole world invited. Watching that brand grow from what it was to what it is now has been the most bizarre thing ever. But anyways, I'll get into that later because we're going to talk about dip brow. But what am I doing here? I think I'm going to do just like a little bit of this deeper brown. This look is groundbreaking. And you're welcome. Actually, I'm going to dabble back and forth between the two. But anyways, this was one of my favorite palettes, so What was really popular at the time, though? Like, I think a lot of the Anastasia palettes were starting to get popular. She had... Fuck, what was the name of that palette? It was, like, super thin, and, like, you could pull out... Like, you, like, pulled it out of this plastic casing. Hold on. Oh. God. Guys, I went down a rabbit hole this morning, okay? I paid for and downloaded this, like, memoir of this woman that slept with Lil Wayne for, like, several years. It's very poorly written. Anyways, that was what was just on my phone when I opened it up. Anastasia palettes. I'm looking for the old school shit. She was one of the first to kind of, like, collaborate with influencers, too. There was, like, an old Amrezi palette back in the day. Oh, yeah! The Catwalk palette. I remember seeing Christy post to you about that all the fucking time. And then the Lavish palette. That's what I was thinking of. So, like... Oh, things have just really changed. It, like, came in this, like, you know when you open up a palette and there's, like, a plastic insert? That's what, like, the outside packaging was like. And you would just pull off this little, like, package. Anyways, between the Catwalk palette and the Lavish palette, people just posted about them constantly. And that was, like, back in the day when they would be like, I have sienna in the crease blended out with orange soda. Like, they would tell you, like, what specific colors they were using and stuff. It was, like, a fucking tutorial in and of itself in the caption. Just different times, man. They were very different times. It was probably a better time to learn how to, like, do makeup, if nothing else, because everyone was really, like, in depth. Let me just get this eyeshadow on and blend it out so that we can move on with our lives, because this is gonna freaking go on forever otherwise. Too Faced really used to be... I feel like Too Faced has really dropped off. No shade. They were, like, popping off for a minute there. When that peach palette came out, good God, that was ridiculous. I still think, though, that they created, like, false scarcity in North America with that palette, because I had looked for it in, like, several different Sephoras in the States and in Canada, couldn't find it. And then I was in France for work, and it was literally, like, the whole fucking store was stocked with these peach palettes, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, why'd they send the whole world stock to France? And it was so odd. And then I remember talking to someone that worked at Sephora, and they were like, yeah, we got sent like 10 palettes, like such a small amount of these palettes. It was so weird. But anyways, my peach palette broke, and I'm still really upset about it. But that palette is so strong smelling, like peaches, that, like, the palettes that are, like, beside it in my desk all smell like peach, because it's, like, such a strong scent. But anyways, okay, I'm gonna move on. Guys, this was an era. Makeup Geek was so unbelievably popular at the time when I started. Their single shadows, pretty much everyone knew, like, every single shade by name. Like, you, like, just, we all had those shades memorized. But I also really loved their pigments. And one of my favorite pigments from them was Utopia. It's a really beautiful color. The texture is, like, really chunky and thick. It's an absolute goddamn nightmare using this. It's so flaky and, like, just a whole other situation, but I mean, it's very pretty. So we're just gonna use it today because old time's sake. I remember meeting Marlena for the first time at IMATS, and she gave me, like, samples of eyeshadows, and I was, like, shitting my pants. Like, I thought that was, like, the coolest thing ever, that we were just, like, getting this free product at IMATS. It was just different times, you know? And now I'm like, please, everyone, stop sending me PR. Okay, so what I did was I just spritzed my brush. I'm using a Smith 253 with a little bit of a setting spray, and then I kind of just mashed it into the lid of the jar because I don't want a ton of excess product on that brush. I just want what I need. Yeah, Makeup Geek was such a different time. And IMATS used to be the spot, man. We all loved IMATS so much. I met Manny there for the first time. Who else did I meet at IMATS that time? Oh my God, I met Rochar. He's a professional makeup artist, but I, like, loved him. Like, I idolized him while I was in makeup school, and I cried when I met him. He was so great. Oh yeah, I met Kathleen Lights. Oh my God, I hate myself so much. I met Kathleen Lights, and I didn't know who she was because I was, like, so new to the industry, and I didn't really... The only person that I watched on YouTube was Faffinet X3. That's it. I loved her so much. She was, like, the reason I started wearing, like, false lashes every day. So I didn't know a ton of people in the industry, and I was like trying to kind of like learn and catch up. But regardless, Kathleen came up to me and introduced herself, and she was like, I love you so much, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, thanks, like, that's so nice. And then she was like, can we take a picture? And I can't remember if we ended up taking a picture because we started like talking, or if her partner took a picture from the side or what. But she was like, I have a YouTube channel too. And I was like, oh, cool, I'll check it out. Like, I had no fucking clue who she was. And then she posted it on her Instagram, and I was getting all of these tags, and it was like coming in like crazy. And I was like, what the fuck is this about? Like, what did someone post about me? And Kathleen posted me and was like, oh, I met Sam, like, I love her so much. And it was like a photo of like her meeting me, I'm pretty sure. And I was like, oh, I'm so stupid. Like, I wish I had just known who she was, because I just like didn't think anything of it at the time. And like, I felt like such an asshole after, because I was like, cool, you have a YouTube channel. Like, not trying to be like condescending by any stretch of the imagination, but like, I just didn't. Yeah, what a time to be alive. I really needed to get my shit together. So anyways, this is a nightmare, this pigment. It just gets fallout all over the place. It's really hard to get like a nice even layer of it. The color is like so stunning. I really do love it, but it's a workout, and that's the truth of the matter. Oh fuck, you know what I wish I had was Gerard. Oh, what a shame. Gerard Cosmetics. Again, people today could never understand. They were so massive, man. Gerard actually was kind of the blueprint for how Morphe ended up setting things up. Gerard like started doing the like promo codes and stuff like that really early on, and same thing, like they would like invite people to their house, and like influencers to their house and stuff like that, and buy them cameras and bags, and just become like really like close friends with them basically. And then Jacqueline did her lip gloss, I think. Yeah, was that what she came out with first? I'm pretty sure she came out with a lip gloss called Rose Hill or something. Like, oh yeah, Rose Hill, that makes sense because her last name is Hill. Okay, great. She came out with like that lip gloss with them, and then everybody started posting about them. And they were huge for a while there too. And I can't remember why. Oh yeah, because that whole scandal. There was like a scandal that happened with, I think Manny back in the day, where one of the owners, or the owner, I can't remember if there's multiple owners. Anyways, one of them called a customer ugly or something like that online. It was a whole thing. And then that was the beginning of the end. And now I feel like I don't really hear about them ever anymore, which is just so odd, because they were so huge at the time. There also was like, oh wow, I'm just getting so many flashbacks. There was like this brand that everybody was private labeling. So like all of these brands would come up with the exact same product, the exact same colors, the exact same packaging, and they would just like slap their logo on it. And it was like these like liquid lipsticks, but not like liquefied lipsticks. Like they were still like glossy looking. Weird. And it was just everywhere. Like everyone was selling the same shit. So you'd see influencers like talking about basically the same product from like 4 different brands. And so whoever was like sending them product was like the brand that they were talking about. And then you'd see the exact same thing from someone else, but it's like from a different brand, allegedly. What a weird time, man. Truly. Anyways, that's Utopia. Makeup Geek really had their like time in the sun for a little bit there. They were huge, man. They were a big one. And I feel like because they were kind of the first to do like single shadows in a more like affordable way, they were just like, they were the one. Like that was the one that you bought from, you know what I mean? Like you didn't purchase from any other brand for that like need. And that's what everyone used to use. Like we used to be so big into single shadows, and then eyeshadow palettes just fucking dominated the industry so suddenly, and it's never stopped. We've never gone back to single shadows. Brands have been like, what about, and people are like, fuck that noise. What about a palette? And I'm going to complain about the palette every single time because there's only going to be 4 colors in it that I like. And so I'm going to complain that it's just a similar eyeshadow palette to everything else that I own, but I'm still going to buy it. And if you release single shadows, I'm not going to buy them. You just can't beat the value. That's the truth of the matter. Saws. I had to go get these. House of Lashes was the situation at the time. They were, I mean, I'm not sure if they're still like gigantic. I would hope so. Everybody fucking loved House of Lashes. House of Lashes and Flutter Lashes were the ones. I'm gonna use this one, I think. That's pretty. Okay, I'm gonna chop this because my eyes are not 12 feet long. I kind of wish I could go back to these times. It was a simpler world. But then again, well, I just don't know, because I guess I'm not like experiencing the industry the same way. I feel like it was really fun, but it was also so fucking competitive. I don't know if there's any like newer, younger models out there of the beauty guru industry. Like if there's anyone that's new to it, newer, tell me, is it still like this? Because it was so competitive. It was really, really bad actually, because everyone was like kind of like coming up at the same time, and like Instagram was becoming a thing. Like the other day someone asked me, they were like, was being an influencer your dream job? And I was like, it wasn't a job. Like that wasn't a thing when I started on Instagram. Like I assumed that people were making money, but like it turns out that they weren't. Really, like not that many people were actually making money at that time, because a lot of brands weren't like into it yet. Like they weren't on board with the whole Instagram steez yet. And then they started seeing like, I think how well it was doing for like Anastasia and stuff like that. And then other brands started jumping on board. 14 years after that, MAC was like, Instagram? Like they were so unbelievably late to the game. Like it was brutal. Like everyone was like wanting them to be on Instagram, because like a lot of people that like grew up loving makeup, it was MAC. Like that was the brand, you know what I mean? Like, and there's this special feeling for people that love MAC that cannot be replicated by any other brand. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah, people not making money at the time. Anyways, it wasn't a job. We were all just kind of like, I think, well, first of all, I think people were just having fun with it, because at the time it was so different. Like everyone's Explore page was the same. If you got to the Explore page, that was like thousands and thousands and thousands of followers. When you got reposted by brands, like thousands and thousands and thousands of followers. Like it was just so much more like exciting, and everyone would hold like party. I say everyone, I'm not including myself, because I never had a cool party thrown on my behalf. But everyone would have like these crazy parties when they would hit like different milestones and stuff like that. It was just, and like people were like in races with each other. Like there were certain people that like didn't like other people because like they were like neck and neck with followers, and like that was like really a thing at the time. It doesn't seem like it is anymore, but I'm not sure if it's because like for most of the people that were sort of like popular at that time, or like coming up at that time, now we're just kind of like all settled into like where we're at, and we're just doing our own thing, and Desi's pregnant, and it's like a whole, you know, we're getting old is what I'm getting at. So it doesn't seem like as competitive and like as cutthroat as it was at the time for us. You tell me. I'm curious if it still seems that way, because I feel like I see people being like younger artists, or smaller artists, I should say, being like so supportive of each other, and like really lifting each other up, and like reposting people's work and stuff like that. Like it's like, it seems like it actually is just like for the sake of supporting one another, rather than like you're talking to this person because you're trying to get ahead, or because you feel like they can do something for you or whatever. Like that's kind of like what the feeling was in the industry when like I was growing up in it. Like it felt like if people didn't think that there was like a benefit to talking to you, they just wouldn't. Like they just wouldn't say hi to you. They wouldn't like introduce themselves. Cold day in fucking hell would they repost your work. Like the only time that like it felt like people would interact with you, and maybe this was just like a me thing, I don't know, because I was kind of like out of the way in like a different country in Canada. It felt like the only time people interacted with you was just to be like seen as like, hey, I'm cool with other influencers, I'm interacting with them. You know what I mean? It was a whole, ugh, what a time. This isn't cruelty free, but I feel like it just was the only one. Also, I don't think this is gonna match me right now. Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer. What other concealer was there? There wasn't. This was it. Like everybody used this fucking concealer. This was like the one that was like just everything. And oh wow, that's gonna be so dark. I remember people doing the like concealer triangles with that back in the day. Wow, those lashes are really nice, actually. I'm really loving them. Oh, so yellow. That's so yellow on me right now. Oh boy, oh boy. Damn, that concealer's actually really nice. It just seems kind of radiant and creamy. Damn, that's been sitting in my drawer for a very, very, very long time because I did eventually start buying other concealers. Hold on, I just have to quickly do my facial makeup. I don't feel like there was there a foundation that was really popular at that time? I guess like Makeup Forever HD was a pretty popular one. Actually, the Giorgio Armani, if you like were a balla, the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk was a popular one. That used to be like all that MResi wore. I feel like actually a lot of people used to use the KVD Vegan Beauty Tattoo Foundation. I feel like that was a thing. I can't remember. I know that I wore the Makeup Forever HD one for a long time, but I really can't remember what the other one. It's really all a blur. It's so interesting now to me too, the photos that do well. I feel like before it was like photos of your eye, like just your eye, like so close up. That was the shit. Everyone was all about it. There was this like sister and brother duo. Fuck. Yeah, LV Glam Duo. Their thing was LV Glam Duo at the time. They were like a sister and a brother and they ran this account together. And they would post like lip close-ups and eye close-ups. And then I remember we were at this like dinner party and they were both there. And then at one point, the brother was like, oh yeah, that's my eyes in the photo. And we were all like, what? And everyone had like no idea that it was like his eyes because it was obviously like so tight in. So no one like, I don't know that any of us really knew what they actually looked like either because they only posted like close-ups of like lips and eyes. And it was like mind-blowing to all of us because a lot of the times you'd meet people and not know who they were because we were all just posting eye close-ups and that was what was like so cool. And now if you posted an eye close-up, Instagram would just remove it on your behalf. They'd be like, this is probably better that we just don't put this up because people are not going to feel good about this. It's like not a thing anymore. I remember because I started posting about makeup on Reddit. That was like my spot. And I got really used to taking eye photos because I would post like pictorials on Reddit, like being like, I blend this brown into my crease. And then the next picture would be like, I put blue on my waterline. And then the next picture would be like, I blended it out. It was kind of a bitch actually to take pictures throughout the whole thing. But that's what I started doing. So I got better at like taking pictures of my eyes. And I remember people would message me and be like, how did you take these pictures? And I'd be trying to like explain to them like my shoddy photography skills. Again, simpler times. Okay, I'm gonna put a little bit of this brown shadow under my eyeball. Let's ignore the fact that my foundation doesn't match and we're just gonna move on. I also would never, ever basically post a photo without winged eyeliner on. I just felt like I looked so naked. That was like my thing. And I can't remember when I stopped, but I've kind of been getting back into it recently. But honestly, I feel like my eye shape has changed since I've gotten older. So I can't like do eyeliner the same way anymore. It doesn't look the same. Okay, wow, let's move on to brows. So Anastasia, dip brow was the thing when I was coming up, and we were all starting to just grow, and then it was this thing, and everyone did their brows so poorly with this. It was really, really, really a bad situation for all of us. I'm gonna use it today. I don't use this as often, but at the time I loved it so much because MAC came out with like a brow pomade, but it was limited edition, and I don't know why. I loved it so much. It was so good. I'm pretty sure they call it fluid brow or fluid line brow or something like that. And then I was like, why has no one else come out with this? Because it was so good because it lasted all day. And like at the time, I don't know why I had such a hard time, probably because makeup was just shittier then. I had such a hard time getting my makeup to like last. So that brow product was like one of the only ones that lasted like so long on my skin. And I was like, why hasn't anyone else come out with something like this? And then Anastasia again was like, hold my beer. And we did. And then she was like, fucking dip brow, bitches. And then we accepted it with open arms. Anyways, I'm using blonde. My hair is pretty, like, it's pretty fucking blonde. I usually like to use a little bit of a ashier color when I have more of like my like platinum color, but because I haven't seen a hairdresser in, God, feels like years. My hair is like a lot more yellowy than it normally is. And also my roots are so grown out that it's getting to the point where people are going to start believing that I'm not naturally platinum blonde, and I don't know how to feel about that, and I'm having a bit of an identity crisis. Anyways, so my hair's warmer, so that's why I'm going for blonde today, because it's a little bit of a warmer dip brow. And I like to use, what is the name of this brush? Hold on, let me just check. Oh, no, 7B. That's my favorite brush for this one. Just because it's super thin, and it's a little bit flimsier rather than being super, super rigid. So I feel like you can get a little bit more of a kind of like wispy application with it. And that's what I'm all about with that dip brow. But at the time, ooh, we did super intense fucking brows with this shit. Like we basically were like, oh, perfect. Makeup was pretty tragic back then. Like there was the people that were obviously really good at makeup. And then there was me. You know, I just really liked, I was still a fan of the heavy blush. I really liked a heavy blush. And frankly, still do. I liked the really pale lip still at that time. Winged liner was my signature. I can't really remember what else I was into. I will say, people were so into pigments. They really like dropped off. Like people are not about the pigment life anymore, but they were such a thing when I was starting, and people were starting to buy from like indie brands a lot too. Like there was this brand called, oh, how do you pronounce it? I think it's called Firenze, which is like this like indie brand, and Reddit loved them. Oh my God. And their shit was always sold out because like I imagine they were doing like small batches on top of like just doing well at the time, I'm thinking, because they were popular online. Their shit was always sold out. So anytime I like had the money to go buy a pigment that Reddit had been talking about, it was gone again. Such a bitch. I'm gonna be using my Anastasia clear brow gel to set my brows. This is horrific, but I've bought this like twice, and that's how long I've had it for. And I started using it in like 2013 or 14. Maybe I've bought it. I don't know if I have bought it 3 times, honestly. I don't know what it is. This shit just lasts so long. Dip brow's actually kind of fucking nice, man. Maybe I'll use it more. I don't know. And that pigment's actually pretty nice, but it is like starting to crease already. What do I have here? Oh yeah. Tarte Park Avenue Princess. Tarte was pretty fucking popular when I was just coming into the industry. People like loved them a lot. They're like obviously at like a different place in their lives right now. Ever since the Great Shape Tape mishap. That was legendary. They were super popular, and their face products in particular were really, really popular. Like their blushes, I remember on Reddit, were like a huge thing as well. Like I'm pretty sure that's what the brand kind of like was known for, was their blushes specifically. And they leaned on those blushes fucking hard for a long time, and then finally started branching out into more like color, like doing eyeshadow palettes, and I'm pretty sure they came out with like fun kind of like liners one summer, shit like that, because they used to be very natural girl thing, and that was that. But actually that's a pretty damn nice bronzer still to this day. Anyways, that's Park Avenue Princess. It's a standby, you know, it's a go-to. I actually did a campaign with them so long ago for their like original Tartelette palette, and it was so fun. I flew out to New York. I met some pals that I'm still friends with today. It was such a time. I'm also gonna use this Tarte blush because, as we just talked about, Tarte blushes were the thing. This is the shade Sensual. I think this is a shade that they came out with kind of more recently. Not like super recently, but damn, that blush is pretty fucking nice. I can't remember if this blush is limited edition or not. They also used to have these blush sticks that were gigantic. Like they were like the size of the Milk thing, but they were like a tinted blush. And I don't know who, people that bought that like 10 years ago probably still haven't made a dent in it. Damn, that blush is nice. Yeah, wow, that's a really nice blush. It's like such a thin application. People are like, yeah, we've been saying this for actual years, but damn, okay. Where's my highlight? Oh, Becca. I can't remember what the highlight was when I like first started, but I think that like it was sort of just becoming a thing, if I recall. Like I don't think highlight was as massive at the time as it like has since become. Becca Moonstone is like the one that I can kind of like, the Becca powder highlights are kind of what come up in my mind as being like one of the biggest like powder highlights. And then obviously they did their little champagne pop collab moment with Jaclyn Hill, and then that was a whole thing. But they really were like a fucking popular highlight, man, even before that time. What was there before that, though? I know Anastasia's highlight palettes were a big thing, but I feel like those came out a little bit later, like maybe 2016, I want to say. I don't know. Oh, let me put my beauty mark on. What am I doing? Original Instagram. It's so weird. It was like such a like toxic time, but I also like miss it. Because I think that everything was just so exciting because like nothing was like tainted yet. It just was so, I don't know, it was so different. And like everyone was really fucking excited about makeup too. Like I feel like we all really just like genuinely loved makeup so much. Like that's what it was about. It wasn't like really about, at that very beginning time, it wasn't about anything else. And then it became something else so quickly. Okay, I wanted to do this because this was a brand that was like just starting when I started on Instagram, and they came out with, I think, like 3 lipsticks, maybe 4. But that's Melt Cosmetics. They were small baby company when I started. And Laura, one of the owners, she was doing makeup at that time for Rihanna still. Bala. And they came out with this brand, and it was just like so cool. They were like one of the first like Instagram brands, I feel like, that was created by like Instagram people that were just like us. It was just really cool to see. Like it was just such a, it was a moment. It was a moment in the industry. Anyways, that was Old Rose that I just put on. Kind of their like whole shtick when they came out was that their lipsticks were like super matte. And they would always post photos being like, I've been wearing this for 16 hours. That was the whole bit. I'm just gonna do like a little bit of lip liner on the top. Oh, I saw this influencer that I love so much. Her Instagram handle is Contra Shelby, and she had lined just like the top of her lip only, and then like the rest was all just this nice thing, and I was like, yeah, that's what's up. Just a good look. I felt like I really liked it a lot. So anyways, I have that down, but I felt like I should like add a little bit of this just because like I wanted to shout out this other brand that was so poppin' at the time. I guess they still are. They're still pretty fucking dope. This isn't shade. This is just me reminiscing about like what that looked like at the time, what poppin' was at the time versus what it is now. But Dose of Colors, that was another brand that was started by an Instagrammer. Her handle at the time was Makeup by Anna, but I think it's just Anna Petrosian now. But anyway, she started Dose of Colors and also started with lipsticks, I believe. And I love those fucking lipsticks, man. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of that just to honor the thing. That's in the shade Rosebud. Is it expired? Like, without a doubt, yes it is. And then Old Rose from, oh, Rose and Rose. And they work together great. Old Rose is from Melt. Is that it? Yeah, I guess so. That's all I had pulled. What else was super popular at the time? Sugar Pill was pretty big. We all loved our Sugar Pill. Lime Crime was a big one. We loved Lime Crime. I like how I'm just saying collectively we, and like who knows what everyone else thought, but that's what I felt like. It's my story. Lime Crime was a big one. We all really like, I'm just gonna continue to be collective. The liquid lipsticks, man, like it was a real like moment. Things went rapidly downhill after that. The Kat Von D liquid lipsticks I remember people really liking a lot as well. And I liked the Anastasia liquid lipsticks because they just had such good colors. Like that's what I feel like Anastasia and Norvina have always been like so good with, is like they just pick out these colors that are just slightly different and they're so like iconic. Like the one shade in the liquid lipstick line called Veronica, I can envision Norvina's picture wearing it to this day. And I was like, God damn it. And she would always like have these lips on and like not talk about what it was. And at the time they had like a way smaller product range. So you would be like, what's that lip? And she'd be like, my lips are sealed. We'd be like, what's that lip, Norvina? Just like waiting for them to like release whatever they're releasing. And when brands release stuff, it was so exciting all the time, no matter what product it was, because the industry was like so much less like overwhelmed. Everything was like, like when House of Lashes came out with a new pair of lashes, we were all like, oh my God. When Sugar Pill came out with a new like singular pigment color, everyone would shit their pants. Like it was just like, it was different back then, man. You should have been there, but you weren't, because some of you were actually born after the 90s. And people born after the 90s, like, have kids sometimes. I really can't believe it. Someone that says that they were born in 2002, I would be like, so then a toddler? But no, that's an 18-year-old. FYI. Just let me do that math for you. Anyways, now this is going off on a different thing. These are some of the products that were really popular when I started out on Instagram. I'd love to know what your memories are from a time when you first began Instagram. Hopefully it's closer to when I started so that I can feel like I'm not decaying in this moment, you know? Anyways, that's it, guys. I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for hanging out and chatting. Sorry for the repeat stories for everyone that had to listen to them. It's just, you know, sometimes you just got to take those strolls back to the... Okay, I'm just going to go. Bye, guys.